let's pivot real quick. Mine's going to be short, Andy. So why don't you go first, and then I'll try to fill in mine at the end.
Well, mine's short too. This is an observation. It's about AI because that's a recurring theme on this show. I have done several little exercises recently. One was giving AI my LinkedIn data and having it write charts and do analysis and summarize my LinkedIn content strategy. I have a LinkedIn newsletter. I'm really active there. But the just death march, brute force effort of getting unstructured data into a spreadsheet that AI could analyze, lots of work. Theme, AI training is low skill, high time. Next example, I decided I'm doing an article about AI for LinkedIn. Headshots. You pick one of these tools to make headshots for you. They're incredible. Like all the quality is fantastic. But you got to give them like 30 high quality headshots. Recurring theme. You need training data it always wants more than you think. Another example, this probably segues into yours, Chris, like that custom GPT idea. Oh, I'll make a digital twin for myself. This will be great. Oh, I got to upload files. Okay, I got to give it some articles. I got to move 300 articles into Word documents and then upload them and transcribe 25 videos and upload the transcripts. And it needs way more data than you think. AI is 90% boring brute force training effort, low skill, and 10% clever prompt. It's like it needs a lot more than you think it needs if you want to get a good outcome. Hey, it can't write headlines. Yeah, because you didn't give it 65 headlines. Oh, it's bad at writing opening paragraphs. How many did you give it? You got to train it. It's not going to write in your brand voice. It's not going to give you data insights. It's not going to make you a beautiful headshot unless you give it like 10x what you thought you had to give it. So my observation recently is like training is just mind-numbing, getting all of your stuff together, but it's worth it if you're trying to get an outcome.
Wow. You just made me think, and I never even thought to do this, but you could go into BuzzSumo, put in the keyword you're looking for, copy out the basically the SERP headlines for the top 50 articles, and be like, these are the top 50 headlines for this keyword. Now write me a good headline. You know what I mean? As opposed to it making it from the ether. You could probably train it on, hey, these are the 50 that are winning. Now what do you say? That's very interesting. But yeah, I hear you loud and clear on it's not even garbage in. Yeah, it's not even garbage in, garbage out. It's like you got to put a lot of quality in. It's like when you like squeeze a lemon, right? Like
Yeah.
you think you're gonna get a lemonade from like one lemon. It's like, dude, you're gonna get
Not going
drops
to
from
work.
the
There are no universes in which like a single sentence will give you like, let you quit your job. That just doesn't. It's not a thing. There's export buttons everywhere, and I get excited when I see an export button. But maybe half the tools allow you to export data in a way that's structured and AI friendly. Google Analytics, it's got 9 rows of comments. You got to delete that. LinkedIn, it makes 2 weird columns of like this one's got engagement, that one's got impressions. Like there's lots of these. SEMrush, like BuzzSumo. Anytime you see MarketMuse, anytime you see an export button, that's exciting. But open that file, you might have an hour or more of work, copying and pasting, moving things around before you can give it to AI and reliably get really interesting insights. But it's worth it. I honestly believe it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that we're probably pretty close where these tools are going to start to just direct API and have done that cleanup work already. I mean, if they're smart, you know what I mean? That rather than trying to beat them, they're like our software plus ChatGPT. I mean, think about the technology roadmap that they don't have to do to build those internal tools into the back of their SaaS platform, if they're willing to play nice. But who knows? I mean, I haven't researched the value of it.
The other upside there, it's like Akio.
Yeah.
It's like there's tools. The other upside there is that it's real time and you can just look at it anytime. I'm doing it batch and manual with this data massaging process. But the insights, I can literally tell you right now which topics that I talk about on LinkedIn lead to follower growth the fastest. There's no metric for that. There's no analysis. That's like a very difficult thing to do because follower growth is per day. But it maps the days together with the date of posts, analyzes the post to show which posts are on which topics, and then draws a chart showing which topics lead to follower growth the fastest. That's like not a thing. There's no tool that does that, but AI will do it for you if you spend an hour and a half fixing up a spreadsheet.
Yeah. Thoughts, Nathan?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, I've been saying this for a long time that I think the data side of ChatGPT is the best part. Actually,
Yeah.
that's number one, and then number two is the coding. So those two, yeah, you can have it create content for you. That's all great, but those two parts for me is like I get so much out of it. And like, for example, we just talked about earlier about how Google just launched a new schema markup for profiles and the forum or Q&A. Well, what I did today is I went to the new page on Google. Sorry, my house is a zoo right now. Kids are home. So went to the page, and what I do is I pretend like I'm going to print the page, but then I actually save it as a PDF, put it on my desktop. I upload that PDF to ChatGPT, and I say, hey, create me a schema, and I give it the prompt based on my specific situation, and it immediately creates the schema markup. So I don't need to go and learn everything about this schema. I just go in there, it gives me what I need. Then I can go and cross-check that schema with the tester tools, make sure it's working. And then on my side, it's really easy because I use GeneratePress, so I can just go and put a little element in, implement that. So that means on the same day, less than 24 hours, I can implement this new thing like in seconds from ChatGPT. I mean, sometimes I think about, I'm like, man, this would have taken me so much longer because I would have had to study it. I would have had to talk to a developer, and then it just would have been very difficult. And now the speed at which you can implement new things as far as SEO is faster than ever. And, there's a lot of other things as well, like to hire a data scientist. I think you guys are both aware, like to hire a real data scientist, we're talking $100 an hour, sometimes $150,000 a year.
Yeah.
I mean, they are expensive. They're a very expensive job. And now you can get one for $20 a month. So
I know.
If you know how to prompt it.
If you know how to prompt it,
Yeah.
yes.
I was showing Chris earlier some of the prompts I've done, and it's like, using TF-IDF analysis, blah, blah, blah. No one thinks to do that, right? An SEO might, but term frequency, inverse document frequency, doesn't roll off the tongue for your typical marketer, or even another one that comes from SEO. Like, I'll give it like a bunch of content and say, perform semantic distance analysis to find subtopics that have never been covered in this data set. That's like a data scientist perspective. It's like a statistician perspective, which most people maybe don't have. But if you know the prompt, like you can... It's a fantastic research assistant. It's like it turns people into like mini data scientists.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because I've gone back and forth with it a few times on different data projects. And as I went back and forth with it, I realized like I was learning things about data science by asking it things, because it would respond to me and it'd be like, well, no, actually, Nathan, your logic is wrong. It didn't say Nathan, but like basically it's your logic is wrong, right? And I was like, oh, you're right. Well, why is my logic wrong? And then you just keep going back and forth, and eventually I'm like, wow, I just learned a lot from that whole experience. It was even like the one I discussed earlier about our H1 tags ranking factor. And according to the data, of course, when you look, most of the top ranking results have the keyword in the H1 tag. So like if you look at that, you might say, well, H1 tags must be a ranking factor, but it's not so simple, right? And so you can look at like, just because everyone has an H1 tag does not mean that it's a ranking factor.
Right.
And so you start to get in the weeds with it, but then that's the beauty of these tools is like, within seconds, we can get these insights that would have taken like me having to go back and forth with the data scientists and, us getting into it, trying to debate it. And instead I just like in seconds can get these insights that are just at lightning speed, which is just so powerful. So
That's cool.
Yeah, we got to train ourselves to be a bit more, to think like statisticians.
yeah,
You're going to have better results doing AI-driven analysis, which is, Nathan just said, I totally agree, one of the best use cases for AI. If you learn to, or have AI help you learn to do some data analysis type thinking, like statistics, like look for correlation, how to ask it to find correlations, and to, run methods that are not normal for marketers. Maybe you don't really have to learn the method, but you have to learn the context. Like another one, I was asking it, which 3-word trigrams are overrepresented in the LinkedIn posts that had the greatest engagements. That's like not natural thinking maybe for most marketers, but if you're doing If you're like using R, the stats programming language, that's how you think. And I'm not. If you just ask it like what words are overrepresented in the top performing posts, it'll give you something. But if you ask it what 3-word trigrams, you'll begin to find themes. So, what is the skill involved? For the prompter, it's to really think like a bit like a statistician. So, or just steal them from us, because I'd encourage all of you to prompt AI to have it do semantic distance analysis and TF-IDF analysis and look for 3-word trigrams. Those are the prompts.
Yeah, well, and not to interrupt, just to add one more point to that, Chris, is one thing that's helped me a ton is also there'll be situations where I don't actually even know the terminology of something. And I will explain the scenario to ChatGPT, and it'll be like, oh yeah, that's regex. You need to use regex, right? And like, although I know what regex is, in that unique scenario, I didn't know that could be applied in that one scenario. So then once I knew the terminology, then I could fix the problem. So like in the case of, I rebuilt like all of my templates for my SEO campaigns, like inside the Academy, and I used ChatGPT to help me build a lot of the formulas. So I'd go back and forth. It would help me build all these just incredible Google Sheets formulas that I never could do before, because I'm not like a great Google Sheets guy. So, but like now I'm pro level thanks to ChatGPT now. So, and the funny thing is like my favorite part is you build out these formulas, you go and test on the Google Sheets and it's like broken, it doesn't work. You're like, okay, then you go back, you're like, hey, by the way, that didn't work. And then you repeat it. You can go back and forth and eventually it's perfect. And it's not this type of thing where it's like, just put the prompt in and it does all the work for you. You just have to treat it like it's a team member, and you just go back and forth and you keep working with it until you get to the outcome. And once again, wouldn't have been possible even a year ago to do such things. I mean, it would cost you a lot of money to do it. So, and a lot of time. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.